Zadrizes Buzdaris Gosdau.
Okay, so as of like just a few days ago, George R. R. Martin has released not a blog post where he details some new information or some just more legitimate information than the art that you see floating out there about Casterly Rock. I actually did a live stream, depending on when you're watching this. It was just last night. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to everybody. Happy Kwanzaa, right? But check the link down below in the description. I went live on Christmas Eve for about an hour and a half, and I discussed not only that information about Casterly Rock, but also every single member of Team Green for House of the Dragon and their fates. That's linked down below in the description. Please go watch that. Okay, so continuing the theme from my latest set of leaks. This information was sent through the DMs, over on Twitter. Make sure you go follow me, right? Sir_Hunts if you want a reason to follow me, while I often do giveaways here in these live streams. Most recently, I gave away this image, anime-style version of Jon Snow, Rhaegal, and Ghost, right? So I'll be doing another one of this, Daenerys-style giveaway, but you have to be followed to me on Twitter, and then also subscribe publicly here on YouTube, right, to enter that giveaway. But this information was sent to me, through the DMs on Twitter, right? And this person has mentioned several different things, right? This person is one of the same. There were several different individuals who sent me leaks over the years, but this one is somewhat of a more credible source, right? So in my most recent video that I did on Jacaerys, oh yeah, by the way, please slap a like on this video. Like goal is going to be 420. Also, make sure you're subscribed, and then make sure you turn your notifications like all the way on. Lot 10 is high, but lot 11 is higher, right? So that way you have all personalized and none. Make sure you have all checked, so that way you'll get an alert every single time I upload a video, which is pretty frequently here on YouTube. So basically, in one of my recent videos, I mentioned how there's a leak for Season 2 where the reason why the Jon Snow show is delayed. It's not delayed. They're going to start making major announcements for it next year. They just want Season 2 of House of the Dragon to air for a very specific reason. The plot, one of the major plots in Season 2 of House of the Dragon, sets up the Jon Snow show. Now, you may be asking, how is that even possible? The Jon Snow show hasn't technically even been greenlit. They haven't even started filming. They're probably just writing and trying to figure out the cast and all that stuff. So how is that even possible? Well, what I'm saying is Kit Harington is going to be the showrunner for this new show, but they want this to seem like a canonical universe. And the ending of Game of Thrones Season 8 left, regardless, if you agree with me, that it left a sour taste at some point in your mouth, right? It was left open. Very open. Like, for instance, when Vermax lays eggs in the crypts of Winterfell in Season 2 of House of the Dragon. So the eggs won't necessarily be mentioned according to this leaker, but they'll be left there, and they're found when the Jon Snow series opens up, and this is really corny, but apparently, Sansa is doing some bit of work or construction down in the crypts of Winterfell from, Winterfell was raised multiple times, right, during the series. So apparently she has some work done down there, and they find the clutch of dragon eggs that were left by Vermax, right? This is according to a leak. But also, it's according to Fire and Blood. That is something that is specifically mentioned by Mushroom in his version of events in Fire and Blood. He says that Vermax, dragons can change their sex at will. That is something that Septon Bath has said, and I've accepted it as fact because there's reptiles in the real world that can do this exact same thing. And it makes sense, right? There's no really way to determine if a dragon is male or female until it lays a clutch of eggs. So it's very well possible that Vermax felt the necessity to prolong its race and laid a clutch of eggs in Winterfell. Now, some more information that was sent to me that was included in that leak is that apparently Vermax is kept in the crypts of Winterfell because that's the closest source to the hot spring. The hot spring is the reason why Winterfell was built. There was this naturally occurring hot spring, and Winterfell was, a series of ring forts at first, but eventually, it becomes this massive castle, and the Starks have actually made use of these hot springs in heating the walls of Winterfell. So Winterfell has this unnatural heat to it that comes from the hot source, that comes from a heat source that's underneath the ground, the crypts of Winterfell, in this hot spring that's down there. So apparently Vermax will be kept down there because that makes Vermax more docile, and in the process of being down there, remember what we saw, like, it's hard to explain because this was leak information and the context is kind of all over the place, but remember in House of the Dragon Season 1 and in Episode 10 when Rhaenyra is giving birth to Visenya, her daughter that has the scales and the dragon tail, she connects with her dragon Syrax, and the two of them have this shared experience where Syrax seems as though it's in pain, the same amount of pain that Rhaenyra is in. So what I'm getting at here is it's very well possible that Vermax can have the emotions that Jace has. And Jacaerys is Targaryen, but he's also half blood of the First Men. Jace, along with his brother Lucerys and Joffrey, are the Song of Ice and Fire, like Jon Snow. Jon Snow's mother is of the old gods, the blood of the North, the First Men, and his father, Rhaegar Targaryen, is super concentrated dragon blood. Although Rhaegar does have Blackwood blood in him himself, so he does have First Men blood in him himself. It's just more concentrated in Jon Snow. Individuals like that, male or female, if they have the old blood, the First Men blood, and Valyrian blood, blood of the dragon, they are very special to this story. Now, this story is not like your traditional story where a hero lives up to its arc and does the best thing ever and lives happily ever after. No, 90% of the people who think they have a predestined arc die before even getting a chance to complete it. So it just makes sense with these individuals, right? Remember, we saw how Lucerys died. Lucerys was basically an envoy, and then he was attacked by Vhagar and Aemon, obviously, but his blood was still spilled, and that was the start of this war. And that could honestly be why Aemon becomes cursed afterwards. He's a kinslayer, yes, but ultimately his fate is intertwined with Daemon, and he probably... So, let me get back on track here. Blood of Ice and Fire. Jace, Jacaerys, also Joffrey and Lucerys, are strong blood. The strong... How strong are of the First Men. They're one of the only houses south of the neck to claim blood of the First Men, because back in Westerosi history, the Andals came through when the First Men were already here and established all over Westeros. The Andals came through and swept all the entirety of the South. The North was just so vast and so large and so inhospitable that the Andal faith of the Seven never really took root up there. So most of the people in the North are the blood of the First Men, and there are some houses down south who also have blood of the First Men, House Harrenhal being one of them. So Jace, his father, is Lionel Strong. I'm sorry, Harwin Strong, right? Blood of the First Men. So it just makes sense. He will have this Pact of Ice and Fire. The Starks, there is this King Jon Stark in the Winter who went and fought Valyrian ancestors before. So there's connections that House Stark has. Obviously, Torrhen Stark, the one who knelt for Aegon the Conqueror, right? And all of that will be discussed in Season 2 through the POV of Jacaerys and Cregan. And that's not even something that's been leaked. That's just something that I know for a fact is going to happen, because it's history that needs to be discussed for the series to make it make sense. So how does this relate to the Jon Snow show? Well, Jon will supposedly find the clutch of eggs, and the entire series, or the start of it at least, will be about how Jon Snow is married to a wildling, has a son, loses the son, and then becomes sort of depressed and longs to see his home. And then he takes a small band of wildlings and goes to south of the wall, goes to Winterfell and finds out what's happening there. And that's kind of how the series starts, is that it starts with the death of Jon Snow's son. And then later on in the series, you find out that Jon Snow's son has now become a White Walker. And this is all, part of that leaked information, right? And the person mentions that there's also rumors that the Snow series isn't just a standalone project for a show about Jon Snow, like Snow the Sequel. It is instead an opening, and intends on being the way that Game of Thrones will come back for one last epic season, 10-episode season, and potentially a movie, this person mentions. And then another source of rumors, I'm just kind of running through these real quick because this is pretty much the, main point of this video. There's more rumors that the Jon Snow show is not going to be a live-action series, but instead will be an animated series. And Kit Harington will be returning, but to voice the role of Jon Snow, and his adventures north of the wall will continue in the form of an animated series. Now that right there, I love anime, but if they did that, oh my, I think that would genuinely make people just as mad as some of the reactions for Game of Thrones Season 8. So you all let me know what you think about that. You think the Jon Snow show is secretly just an animated series Kit Harington's come back to play the voice of? Let me know down below. Like, it could be good potentially, but it's going to piss a lot of people off first, right? So I know I've mentioned a lot of information in this video. Hopefully you caught it all. If not, feel free to go back and rewatch and maybe lower the speed to like 0.5. I know it's really weird for me to say, but also, like, I have ADHD. I have slight autism. I know when I get a train of thought out, it's not the most comprehensible thing to understand. So there's probably some goodies that you may have missed in your first watch of this video. So if you want please do that. Also, I'm going to start trying to timestamp my videos, whereas every time I mention a different thing, it'll be linked down below in the description. If that's something you all are interested in, let me know. I'll start doing it with my live streams for sure, and eventually into all of these videos. Well, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, right? Happy celebration. I hope you all are watching this, are having a good time with your family. I hope you open lots of gifts. Thank you for your love and support. I'm going to be bringing in the new year next Saturday. The live stream will be at 10:30 at night, and I'll be celebrating the new year with y'all. And that's also my birthday, January 1st. I'll be turning 33. I'll become an adult in the world of the Hobbitses. So I want to thank you all so much for listening. Alonat Zaldrizas Pustari Ixos Daur. Now you may be wondering, how the Pact of Ice and Fire? You never met it. Well, I kind of did, right? So the Pact of Ice and Fire has to do with someone from the old god, the line of the old god blood, so the firstman blood, right? And I say the old god blood because literally, I've said this multiple times in a lot of my recent videos, but the gods that are real in Westeros and in Planetos pick individuals, people, to represent them, and they are endowed with special gifts and special abilities that may or may not always work, right? So these figures, later on in history, after they die, become either the deities themselves or just new versions of new gods, right? So right now, in the context of this story, the old god's chosen one is Bran, right? So Bran, who is the embodiment of the god on earth, will have a champion. His champion is Jon Snow. Jon Snow fulfills the Pact of Ice and Fire that was made by his grandparents, that the Azor Ahai will come from the line of Rhaegar through the Mad King and Aerys, right? So, literally, Jon Snow is the embodiment of the Pact of Ice and Fire, and initially, there was a Pact of Ice and Fire that was made way back when Vermax and Jace visited Winterfell. So the Pact of Ice and Fire likely involved the marriage between Jace and Sarah Snow, who Jace fell for, and according to some rumors, were forced. Cregan forced Jace to marry his sister, Sarah, because he would not take care of any bastards. So that's when the initial Pact of Ice and Fire was formed, and that supposedly, with Jace being the heir to Rhaenyra, the Iron Throne would eventually pass to the children that he has with Sarah Snow. So in my opinion, this is what the Pact of Ice and Fire is, and this will be discussed in the Jon Snow series. Alonat! Please slap a like on this video.